So I'll start with the base of the chair and the wheels. Okay. So I'm just gonna reset all this. Okay. For the base, I have two different ways of doing it, and after you can choose the way you want. But one is more difficult because you need to understand how to work with the fillet and the mesh smooth. Okay. I think I showed you last week how to use the mesh smooth combined with the j'ai la misère à parler là matin. Combined with the connect. Okay. So I'll show you again just to make sure that you understand this perfectly. I start with a box like this, okay? And I have a modifier, it's called mesh smooth. That's just to round the edges, okay? But if I put the mesh smooth on this, it just makes fillet between the edges of the corner. So the edges are too far apart, so the fillet is really big. So I end up with something like this, okay? Because it takes between this and the other one to make the fillet, so it's just round. So if I cut more edges, the fillet is gonna be, it's gonna keep the shape a little bit more. So I go back to the box. I'm just gonna get rid of the mesh smooth. I convert to poly, okay? If I put the mesh smooth again. Okay. Now, if I go in edge mode and I select this edge, okay? And I use ring to go all around. See? Like this, or you can just select it like this. And I use connect with the little box on the right and make a few connections in between, or just two connections, okay? Look what it does with the mesh smooth. It keeps the shape a little bit more, but if I spread these edges apart a little bit more, see how it keeps the edge here, like it stays square, but it rounds it just a little bit. If I do the same thing on the other axis now, I select this one.
Before you go ahead, just a question. So before you go to mesh
smooth,
you
do your connect first.
Okay.
So this is just to show you without, you convert to poly, then ring and connect. See, I'll do it in the other axis also. I select this edge, and I'm gonna use ring to go all around, but this time all the vertical edges, okay, and connect, and it keeps the same settings as the previous one. Okay, if I press OK, press F3. Pinch, it spreads them apart, so it pinches them together or spread them apart. And look what I have here on my corner. I have this. Okay, so in fact these edges are just gonna keep it's gonna be the edges of the fillet. So the fillet is gonna happen between the two edges. So the more space you have between the edges, the rounder or bigger the fillet is gonna be. So if you want a 1-inch fillet, you just space them by 1 inch, but not the corner. This and this, the corner is gonna go. So if I click here, see? Now this one is more pinch than this one because the edges are closer. Okay? So for the legs of the chair, just a little bit the same thing. Okay? I can use just a chamfer box. That's a box that already has a fillet. Then use array to rotate it. If I reopen that door, that chair I had, I'm just gonna get rid of all this. Okay. So look at the fillet. Yeah, but it's not a regular box. It's a chamfer box that already has the chamfer. And when you but when you create this box, you have the number of fillet segments, the number of segments here. So if you don't put enough, it's gonna be square, and the radius of the fillet, okay, that you can specify, okay, and all of them being instances. If I modify one, it modifies all the other ones, okay. But I want to show you the other method first, because sometimes you can't do it this way. Like if you have a different shape, like more complicated, you have to use another method, okay. So I'm just gonna delete. I'm just gonna reset my scene again, okay, and I'm gonna start with a cylinder. So the cylinder would be the middle part of this chair, okay. The difference between the chairs is that The other one, it's like the one I have at home. You have 5 sections in metal, and then you put the plastic on top, and you have holes in the plastic that fits right on top. But these chairs here are a little bit different. Everything is looks like molded in one piece, and you even have round edges. So it's not good with the other method if you want to do a chair like that. Okay. So in that case, I would use a cylinder with 10 sides. Why 10 sides? Because I'm going to extrude 5 of these sides. I'm going to keep one side in between. Okay? And I don't want any height segments. Okay? I'm just going to show you different methods and use the method you want after. Okay? Because it's really by trying that you're going to know which one you prefer. Okay?
Height segment is one, just one?
Yeah, and I put 10 sides. If I press F4, I have something like this. And the height is going to be the height of the... Actually, this is too high. The radius of this, okay, the middle part, should be like... Hey, man, can you put the plastic? The plastic cover is broke on this one. Okay, so the...
This middle base,
Yeah. So the middle part that holds the legs together, the radius is going to be like 4 inches. Okay? And the height, I'm going to put also 4 inches, like this. Okay? And I'm just going to convert this to poly. Select one, then skip one, then I go around and press Control, select another one. Okay? And this one. So I have 10 sides, and I selected 5 of the polygons. So you choose one, then you skip one. Okay. How long this thing is? Okay, like at the these, like 12 inches. Okay, so let's go for 12 inches. So I'm going to extrude this 12 inches. So I press on extrude, put 12. Okay. Like this. Now, if I try to mesh smooth on this, it's going to be a mess, okay? Like this. So I need to create new edges to hold the shape. So
Just a second, after you selected one and you skipped one,
extrude 12 inches. And also I need to put the place under to fit the wheels. Okay? And I can even scale this down a little bit, because the edges are a little bit thinner, and maybe just move everything down like this. Okay? So far it's not as it's a little bit like the monitor we did last week. Okay? Nothing too complicated. Okay. What I can do also at the end to put the wheels is extrude just a little bit, like 1 inch, okay, or maybe 1.5, something like this. Okay. And remember, in set, I could select all the polygons, but I'm not gonna really see under the chair. Okay, so it's not really important to do that. But if I use inset like this, just a bit, and extrude it in a little bit, see? So that's, and maybe I can scale this down a little bit so the hole for the wheels is not too big, but like this. If I try to mesh smooth again, that's a little bit better. See, it holds the shape more because I have an extra edge here. Okay, but like I just said, I don't really need the end part, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. Okay, but what I'm gonna do is select each of these one edge on each leg like this, and I'm just gonna ring them so it goes all around. So if I use ring, I have this. So each leg has all the edges around selected. Okay. And what should I do now to just make more segments? Connect. But I'm gonna use connect with this. Put 2 edges, and pinch them apart like this. So there's one really close to the edge and another one really close to the middle. Okay? Why? Because when I mesh smooth, oops, when I use the mesh smooth, it's gonna hold the shape a lot more, see? But this one was a little bit too close, so the shape looks too round. But what I can do is put an extra edge in the middle so I can pull that point out to round the end. Okay? So what I'm gonna do now is go in the other axis. Like select this, 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 and this. Use ring again. Connect only one edge. If I use the connection like this, okay, and I do the mesh smooth again, see how it holds the shape now? This is good, but it's a little bit too square for what I do. But like we could have done this on the monitor last week, okay, to keep the corners with a little bit of filet, because it shows some highlights a lot more than just square edges. Okay, but that's not what I want to do with this. I want to do the connect, just one, and no pinch. If you want to try the slide, it just slides the edge sideways. Okay, but I don't want to slide this one. Now if I redo it, okay, doesn't show much difference because there's an edge in the, yeah, but there's just an edge in the middle. But look what I want to do with this. I can take the vertex at the edge, like in the middle, and I'm just gonna scale them a little bit from the center, like this, see? So it's gonna round the edges a bit, like it's gonna round the end, like this. So if I re-render it, like, anyway, you can play with the shape of this. You can even take the points that are on the side, like this, and lower them like this, see? So it rounds it. It looks sad, eh? See, like this. So you can really reshape this like the model you want to do. Okay. And after that, I'll show you the wheels just at the end, okay? Because the wheel is not really hard to do. So I can start with this, maybe inset this a bit, and maybe extrude it, inset, extrude again, okay? But if you want a sharper edge, like a sharper part here, what you need to do is just whoops, I'm just gonna get rid of the mesh smooth. Just take these, again connect, and maybe I can slide it down like this. So the closer two edges are one another, the more is gonna make a sharp corner. See? So now it looks like I have two objects, but in fact it's the same object that has that changed shape. Okay?
So the more these lines are like close,
The more they're close, the sharper you can see the corner. The more they're apart, the rounder the difference is going to be between the two. Okay? For me, that's the easiest way to model. Okay? But for accuracy, maybe the other one is going to be a little better. Okay? So that's one way of doing the... Doesn't look like a chair. Eh? It's like a lipstick with on a stand or something. Okay, let's go with the other method. Okay, I start with the extended primitive chamfer box. Okay, for the seat it's gonna be the same method for so it's the same method. So I'm just gonna show you two methods only for the legs. And depending of the model of the chair, sometimes you're gonna prefer to use one method. Sometimes you're gonna prefer the other method. Okay, it depends really of the model of the chair you want to do. So I'm gonna start with a chamfer box like this. Okay. And as for the dimension, the length is gonna be, maybe I'm gonna put 14 inches for the length. the width 2 inches and the height 2 inches. Okay, and the fillet is a little bit too much, so I'm gonna lower it. Maybe I'm gonna put the width only 1 inch, okay, because it's gonna look a little bit better like this. And if you want the corners rounder, I have the fillet here at 0.1, but I can increase the fillet segments, so there's more segments with the fillet, so it looks like this. See? This looks clean, this is good, okay? And if you want to make the fillet smaller, this time you don't need to change edges or anything, just put 0.1 for the fillet instead of 0.1 something. See? It's a little bit tighter on the edges. Why do I do it with the chamfer box? Because compared to a box that is similar, see? This one looks like an AutoCAD box and this one looks like something that's real, no? Because of the fillet on the edges. So you can model like this, but it's never gonna look real. If you want something that looks real, edges like this gonna look better, okay? So now that you know that, you can fix your monitor during the week, okay? Okay. The middle part of the chair, okay, it's gonna have like a 4 inches radius and maybe 6 inches in height, okay? So what I will do is I'm gonna go from the top view, create a cylinder here, put the radius about 4 inches, the height about 6 inches, so I have something like this, okay? Maybe I can put 8 inches. Que j'ai quoi? Why? Ouais. Puis la hauteur, je vais y mettre. I'm gonna put 8, okay?
So radius is 2.
Radius is 2 and height is 8. And I know at home my chair, I had to assemble it when I had it. And this thing here, in the plastic thing, has some grooves in it, so it fits exactly on this, okay? But you don't really need to do the holes, because when it's like this, it looks like it's just the different materials that's going to show the difference, because usually this is chrome and this is black plastic, okay? As for the height, usually they have the same, they're at the same height, so I'm just going to make sure this is 0 in Z, okay? Because it fits exactly on top of this, and there's the wheels to separate this from the ground. Okay, now I want to array this around the other one, okay? But if I select this, see, its middle point is here, so I need to change the UCS of the object to use this one instead. So it's gonna go around, revolve around this instead of revolving around itself, okay? I think we did that the first class last semester with the teeter-totter thing, where we changed the pivot points so each of them was rotating around itself. So for this, okay, watch this, because that's the question you're gonna have after, I know. If I go here, this is where you choose the UCS of the object, okay? So I go to pick, and I'm gonna click on the cylinder to use the cylinder as my pivot point. I can also use the pivot point of the object, but I think it's easier this way.
But first we choose our object.
You choose the object first, click on pick, and then you pick this, okay? But it doesn't change anything because this is selected, and this icon, it means that each object uses its own pivot point. But if you want to use the parent pivot point, like the one I just chose, you click on this, hold it, and choose the last one. And look at the pivot point, it moves exactly in the middle of the cylinder. Okay, so you go here, you pick the cylinder, and you go here and choose parent for the pivot point to use. Okay? Now I want to go 360 around this, and make 5 copies. I don't know if you remember the array tool that we saw 2 weeks ago, but if I go in tools, array, remember this window? I can use the preview if I want, but I know that I want to put 5, so I'm going to put 5 here in 1D. Okay, in one dimension I'm going to have 5 copies. Actually, they're going to be instances, so if I modify one, it modifies all the other one. Okay? And how do I go around the cylinder with a 360? Here, I can choose rotate, but I'm going to use the one on the right. Why do I use the one on the right? Because it's the total. Because the one on the left gives me the rotation of each. Okay, so I need to divide the circle by 5 segments and enter the data here. But instead, if I put 360, in Z it's from the top. So it's going to be around the Z axis. So if I click on preview, see? If I lower the angle, it's going to go around 180, like this. So it's going to put 5 on 180. But if I put 360, it's going to put 5 on 360, okay? Because it's my total circle. Then I just press OK, and I have something like this. That's exactly the chair I did before. It's exactly the way I did it, okay? So far, not too complicated. The cylinder I have here, if I wanted to be rounder, I could have used a chamfer cylinder instead. Okay? So what we're going to do now, I'll let you do that part while it's fresh. Okay? And then we'll move a little bit further after. Okay? So you start with that cylinder, then one box, go around with the array, and okay? So I'm going to pause the... This is part 2 of our tutorial on the chair model. Okay. What I'm gonna do is I want to get that part. Okay, if I show you that tutorial, I want to get that part and then that part. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shift move the cylinder, modify it like this, then shift move it again and modify it like this. Okay. So I shift move the cylinder here, and I unfortunately converted to editable poly. Okay, so I can't change the radius. So I'm just gonna delete it, and actually I'm gonna leave it there, create a new one on top, so I'll be able to align it in the middle. But this time I'm gonna use a chamfer cylinder instead. Like that. Like that. Maybe see I have a little bit of a fillet here. Use the align tool to align it to the old one in X, Y, Z, center, center. Okay. And I'm gonna delete the old one. So now I have this instead. I'm gonna shift move it like this. Lower its radius so it's inside the top of this one. Maybe increase the height a little bit. Okay. So it looks, and I can go back and put the pivot point local instead, so I can move it from the middle. So I'm just gonna put it in. Now shift move it again. So that's gonna be the metal part. Okay. Lower the radius to 1 inch. It depends of the size of your of this, and maybe lower the height. So it looks like this, and I'm just gonna get rid of the fillet on this one. Even though it's a chamfer cylinder, I remove the fillet. So far I have this. Okay, but with the textures, it's gonna look better. I can also move the points after if I'm not satisfied with the shape of the plastic part here. I can just convert it to poly, get the vertex on top here, maybe move them down a little bit, okay? Or even select one edge, ring, just connect these like this, and maybe scale the new edge a little bit so it rounds the edge a little bit more, see? So you just start with a basic shape, like a boxy shape, and then you add segments, you add details until you're satisfied. Okay. So always the same principle. whether you want to model for game, for anything, start with the boxy model, even a human, a car, boxy model that has the basic shape. So if it looks like the shape is good, then you refine, just like drawing. I don't know if some of you draw, but it's the same thing as drawing. You don't go into real details for the eye and then expand from it. Like you draw the whole thing. And then, okay. For the wheels now. Okay, we can go with sphere wheels, okay, or we can go with cylindrical wheels. If you look at the wheels on your chairs, they're cylindrical. It's like a chamfer cylinder with another part on top, and there's the part that holds it. Okay, I'm gonna use that type of wheels. Okay, they're really easy to do. You can try yourself. You can try to make spherical wheels after, but for now we're just gonna make these type of wheels. In the rendering, it's not really important, well, unless you have a specific chair and you want it to look exactly for that. But most of the time, you can reuse these wheels after for other chairs. Just like the whole base, you can reuse it for lots of chairs. Just the seat is gonna change. Okay. So I'm gonna create it from this left view. Okay. So what would be the radius of these wheels? 1 pouce peut-être. 3/4. C'est 1,5 pouce, il me semble, c'est plus gros qu'1,5 pouce. Le diamètre. So it's 1.5 inch diameter. Okay. So I'm gonna create a chamfer cylinder like this. Okay. Radius. Whoops. 0.75. Et boy, ça va être petit, non? Mettre à 1. Okay, radius 1, okay. The height, so that would be the thickness. Funny and shock. 1. So height. I'm gonna put 2 for the height, okay, and the radius I'm gonna put 2 also, because I think they're a little bit small with the radius of 1. Maybe it's just me. So fight 4x4, it's a 4x4 chair. Okay, you're right. I'm gonna put 1. I'm gonna put 1. Okay? Where? Why? Okay. Okay. And I'm gonna I use a chamfer cylinder on this. I'm gonna increase the fillet a little bit so the edge look more interesting and catch some highlights. And maybe I can increase the number of fillet segments to 2. So, and if you want the wheel to be a little bit rounder because it's pretty square, you can put maybe 18 sides instead of 12. And you can go as high as 24, but I'm just gonna put 16 on this, okay? Because I want to model on this, and I don't want to take an hour to select polygons around the wheel to extrude them. So far it's like this. Now I need the plastic part that's on top. Okay, there's 2 ways to make this. I'm gonna show you the more complicated way first. No, it's easier than this, because I could make like a tube like this, okay, and just use the slice and slice just one part like this. See? So I can just use this, and if I go here, see, it's a part that looks like this, and if I align it like this, maybe I can change the height a little bit more like this. See? Okay. Actually, this is a lot easier than the other method I wanted to do. Okay, so we'll do it this way, okay? Okay.
But why did you align it by pivot points, not by...
Because from the middle, they don't share the same middle. Because this is part of a tube, so the middle is not the real center. Okay. And you don't need that many height segments. I'm just gonna, whoops. I don't,
Six, please, and with you. Yeah.
okay. So I look at my wheel from the side, okay? And the radius of this was 1 inch, right? So I'm gonna create a tube in the standard primitive. If you want to snap here, maybe it's easier to create when you snap in the middle. I can use the 3D snap and snap. No, I'm gonna snap in midpoint or pivot point. So I can go here. See? Now I snap exactly in the middle, and maybe I stop here. But at least it's whoa shit. It's a little bit hard to snap though. Maybe I snap on the edge also. So start here and snap on the edge. Snap on the inner edge to have the thickness, okay? And you continue to draw because you're drawing the height after. Now, if I zoom on this, it looks like this. The radius of the wheel is 1 inch. So the radius of this would be 1.2, maybe 1.1. Okay? And the radius 2, I'm just going to eyeball it like this. Increase the height a bit. But I want it a little bit bigger than the wheel. So if I zoom on this, maybe I can move it out a little bit like this. See? So the wheel is inside. That's good. But now I need to slice it because I don't want this to go all around the wheel because I don't need wheels in that case. I click on sacrément. Hey, je suis pas capable de parler à matin. I click on slice on and slice from and slice to. And I'm gonna go with something like this. Maybe I can like this. Okay. I know there's an inner part here that you don't see, and I'll show you if you want to fix it after how to do it. But like it holds from the middle. Okay, the wheel holds from the middle. But if it's on a chair like this, you don't really see it, and you don't want to add too many polygons to your wheel. Okay, so you don't need to cut because the wheel is supposed to be in 2 parts, and there's a groove in the middle. Okay, if I want to do it, I can select this. Now just put more height segments like this, then convert to poly, and if I go in my top view, I can take these points, spread them apart with the scale, then select the polygons in the middle. No, extrude them in as in local normal like this. See? So it's extrude, but instead of extruding out like this, I extrude them in.
How did you select them? Just polygon middle polygon?
Okay. If you extrude up by group, they're gonna be extruded in the same direction. By polygon, each polygon is extruded individually. But local normal, each polygon is facing, it's extruded facing, but they stay attached together. Okay. But I extruded in negative value, so I have something like this, so it looks more like the wheels I have. If this is too the hole is too big, I can always go back. Sorry, I go back in vertex here and just push them together like this. So I have just a little bit of a groove in the middle like this, so it looks more like these wheels. Okay. But I'm not finished with this. This part on top, I put 3 height segments, and the reason why I put 3 height segments is that I'm gonna extrude some polygons just to connect with the chair legs. Okay. Of course, you can just put a cylinder on top; it would have exactly the same effect. Okay. But I can convert this to poly, select some polygons on top, and just extrude them like this, just a little bit. See? So that would hold the leg, and this is going to be inside the chair leg, so you won't see it. You just want to see something that connects to object. The reason why I would do it this way is because it takes less polygons with this than making a new cylinder inside out, because each time you add new objects, think of it because it's going to add time to your rendering. Okay, so I have the wheel. I'm just going to move it. Oops. I'm just going to take both objects, move them up like this, move them here. And how do I copy them all around? Same thing, no. Same thing as I did for this. Choose pick, choose this. Here. Tool, array. And it kept the same parameters, and press OK. Here you go. Have all the legs. Okay. So if I render what I did so far, looks like this. Not bad, eh? Okay. I go and create shapes, and I choose a rectangle. Okay. And I'm gonna make it about 18 inches by 18 inches. Okay. Like this. And I'm just gonna move it up here. Okay. But I want the corners to be a little bit rounder than this. So if I go in the modify panel, I can change the corner radius and round the corners like this. Okay? Just in corner radius. I'm gonna put 3 inches for the corner radius. Yeah, just a line. Okay? It's just a 2D line. Okay? In shapes. Now, when I want to modify this line to change its shape, because I want the front part to be a little bit lower than the back part. So I can right click and convert it to what? Spline. Yeah, but when it's 2D like this, it's editable spline. And I can select the vertex and just move the points down like this. Okay? Maybe move these ones a little bit also. See? Now it's just like this. But if you want to add more details, you can always add some points to the line with the refine option. I just move them down a little bit. See? So I take these, move them down, take these ones, move them down. But I can also use refine and just add more points to it. So I can also see, now I can lower these points, but the middle stays there. Okay? Something like this. So that's going to be the base for my seat. And how do I put this in 3D to have a nice plastic frame around the seat? No? Sweep. So I'm going to go in my modifier list and use the sweep modifier. Okay? We used that before, but this is a little bit too extreme. Okay? So I'm just going to change its shape for the yeah, thank you. But I'm going to reverse it with the mirror in X, Z, and you know what? I'm not going to use a channel on this. I'm going to use the L, but I'm just going to see when I reverse it like that, it makes more sense. And I can change the length like this. Maybe change just change the thickness a little bit. So. Okay. I have my spline. I put the sweep modifier. And I choose the angle shape. But you can change the here, the alignment of the angle with mirror on XZ. See? So it mirrors the shape on the other side. You can also change the corner radius if you want to round the bottom part. See? Now this is rounder. But again, if you don't see this in your rendering, you don't really want to put... Où ça? Ça? You have the inside here, and the other one is the outside. So the inside, I don't need the fillet. And edge radius is the top. See? If you don't want the top square, you just increase the the edge here inside. But
You added a point there, right?
yeah, to be able to get that shape,
How did you add that?
refine.
Refine.
On my line here, I added these points with refine. Just click on the line and it creates new points. How do you do that in AutoCAD?
Adding points?
Yeah. Edit, V for vertex, add to add, and then you click on the line to add some vertex. Yeah. Because I knew that if it existed in AutoCAD and 3D Max, it's supposed to exist in AutoCAD too, right? It's the, yeah, but you have to write it down. Yeah, but you shouldn't use all the icons. It slows you down. You should always write down the functions or right click, or else you're too slow.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, but you have to learn it because you're going to be too slow to work in a real environment.
P-edit, you said? P-edit?
P-edit, it's to edit a polyline.
V
V for vertex and then A for add. Okay? Okay, now what should I do to put the seat? And I think this is just a little bit too high. Okay, I'm just going to... Like this, Popeye? Why, maybe just 3. Here. I'm going to create a chamfer box inside this. Okay? Or maybe I can just use a regular box and put a mesh smooth on it after. So I'm just going to create a box that matches this. Like this. And just increase the height so it's a little bit bigger. Like this. No chamfer. Just a regular box. Okay? Something like that. See? It's a little bit higher than this. Maybe I can move it up. Okay. But how would I modify it so it's it fits this? First I'm going to increase the number of segments, okay? I think it's going to crash now. Ah, no, okay. I'm going to put 6 segments in length and width and just 3 in height, okay, to be able to round the sides. And if I put the mesh smooth modifier on this, see how it looks already?
Height was 3?
Height 3 segments.
How come you didn't create rectangle again?
Because I want to have a box right away instead of extruding a rectangle. I prefer to work with a box. But now, how do I reshape this so it fits in this? Have any idea? We used that modifier before.
RRG?
FFD.
FFD.
That was close. It's freeform deformation. And I'm going to use a freeform deformation 4x4x4. But for it to work, you have to have enough subdivision in the box. Okay? So I'm just going to put...
You did smooth mesh, right?
I put... So you can put the mesh smooth at the end. Okay?
Oh.
But you, FFD 4x4. I open the plus sign near the FFD. And... Yeah.
Wait, FFD is in the modifier list?
Yeah. But you need to select something to see it. A solid. And
Control point?
I have sub-object control points, and I can just pull the points like this. See?
Oh.
So my mesh fits exactly inside like this. See? I can even take the whole row and move it like this. Then take this, move this out like this. Maybe this one, move it a little bit more. But of course, the more points you have on the original box, the more you can modify the small details. See, I don't have enough control points on my FFD in the middle to squeeze it in. But I'll show you how to do it.
We cannot add on segments?
No, but we can add segments on the FFD. Like if I delete that FFD, and instead I put the FFD box, in set number of points, I can choose how many points there is in my FFD, and I put 6x6. So the more points you have on the FFD, the more control you have on what you deform. I can just pull this inside, see? Because these points going to retain the shape, and this going to just modify that part, like this. Now you need to have lots of poly to begin with, or else you can't deform the box just like that. use this one FFD box. It's better because you have more control on the number of points you have. See?
And then you put 6 points?
I put 6 points by 6 point by 4. See, like this. So I can get the back, drag it up like this. Even better, I can go in my side view and lower the front part. Like take this, move it in. Like this. See? And now I can even pull some points from the middle. Like this. Change the shape a little bit more. Okay? Maybe I can just drag this row of points, move them up, move them up a little bit, like this. So if I render this, okay, so you can really reshape this so it looks more organic than just a box. Okay? So I'll let you do that part, okay? Okay, so you can just draw the shape and extrude it, okay? That's the easiest way, but that's easy, but I prefer to use a box like this from the top view. And if I isolate my selection, okay, to have only this, my box looks like this. I don't want any height segments. I want a few width. I'm gonna put like 6 width segment and just 4 like the length. I convert it to poly. I can go in vertex and I'm gonna reshape this a little bit. I'm gonna move this forward like this, move these 2 points like this, move these 2 points back. Okay, so that gives me a round shape at the end. Maybe I'm gonna push this back a bit. Now I can take these points, scale them down like this, and push them in like this. And then I can take the whole thing, rotate the points like this, and push them down like this, but also take these ones, move them down.
What are you creating? The back?
Now
The support?
the little part to adjust the height. Something like this. Okay? No, it doesn't have to be accurate as long as it looks like an adjuster. The chair is gonna look more like a chair after. So I'm just gonna move this here near the edge of the seat like this. And
So you started that off with a box also in top view.
but this is a little big, so I can scale it down, and then I can shift move it, lower the second one, push it in a little bit. See? So I have 2 different adjusters like this. Okay? To connect the back part, okay, you can go the easy way again with just that box. Extrude the polygons. This is exactly like the monitor. Extrude this twice, then extrude this like this. Maybe move the points back a little bit. And then at the end here, you can just make a little bit of an extrusion and extrude the sides just a bit if you want, like this. Okay? But again, it depends of the model of chair you have, but that's the easiest way to do that. If you think that's too thick, just go in vertex, take all these points and scale them down like this. Okay? And then I can go back here, take these points and these points. It's hard to work in the perspective view, so maybe in that case it would be easier to go in the top view. See? I can take these and scale them out like this. So the back looks like this, but I want to round the corners. I can just take this edge, push them in a little bit to round the back. Okay. Also take anyway, you can just move the polygons around and reshape all this. So far it looks like this. if the shape in the back is a little bit more complicated, or also if you have armrests on the chair, okay, it's better to work with the extrusion on path, either loft or sweep, okay. So in that case, I would delete that box, and I would just draw a line that starts underneath the chair here, goes here, like this, okay. And then I can create a rectangle, the dimension I want for this, select this, remember sweep, can use the sweep modifier again, and instead of using one of the preset files here, but in fact I have a bar here, and the bar I can just modify its dimensions like this, see? So I have the more complicated shape I wanted here.
But if you didn't have a bar, how would you have done?
I would have taken the shape. Now I would use custom selection, custom section, pick, and I would pick the rectangle. See, but then I need to so it's easier to use the sweep with sweep bar and then change the dimensions of this. See, and same thing for the armrests. But armrests, and I would just put a box here to hold this. Maybe put something that, like to adjust in the back. Sometimes they have something like this. They create you can create a star, like this. Play with the filet, like this, on the edges, and just extrude it a little bit. So now, if I zoom on this, I extrude it just a bit and push it, just push it there, see? Like this, and then, whoa, take this and push it back like this. Won't show if there's a little bit of an intersection. So if I render this, see? And this, I need to go back to my FFD to fix this after. The armrests, usually it starts underneath the chair, goes out like this, or sometimes it's just square, goes out, and you have armrest. Okay, that's the easiest to do. You just create a box, extrude it like this, and put the armrest, and you do it just like this, but smaller. So I would create a box underneath, maybe like this, okay? Move it here. Convert to poly. Select the polygons at the end. Oops. Extrude. Like this. But I'm just gonna move these points out so it's not too thick outside. Just take this and this, extrude like this, see, and just put the armrests on top, okay? But now I need to move these because it doesn't work, but something like that. But this is not really nice. Often it's all round. It comes from under, it's round. So what you do, you just draw a line. Yeah, scale it down but I'm gonna make a plastic one that starts under here, goes like this, and goes back underneath. And then in my side view, I can just move the points. No, but first I'm gonna move the points at the bottom and push them under, and then take these points and push them so it's round here. So maybe I can push this underneath like this, take this like this, and this one like this. Okay, so I have something like this. Maybe I need to push this point. Okay, now if I use sweep on this, so C'est un peu tough là. Change the thickness of all this. But I don't have the full control on the width. Like I want it wider here, smaller under. So instead of sweep, I can use the loft and just create maybe a small rectangle. Maybe the rectangle would be 2 inches by 1 inch. Okay, and I'm going to use the loft. Create, compound, loft, get shape, then get that rectangle. So if I zoom on this, okay, and if I go back to my original rectangle, I can change the radius of the corner. See, it's a little bit better. Of course, yeah, I could have make the shape a little bit smoother than this, but the reason why I'm using loft is I can go in deformation. Remember that? The loft deformations. We use that. I go in scale. I have the beginning of my line, the end of my line in the scale at 100%. So if I lower this, see, starts thin and goes thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some points.
Where did you get that measure from?
It's here, I click on scale here, and this opens. And see, now it starts small and goes bigger. So if I move this here or here, I have a different result. Something like this. Okay. It's not the best design I've ever made for a chair, but that's one way to do this. Of course, if you can stick with box modeling for most everything. Okay, you can just start with a box, because I think if you can master box modeling, you can pretty much model whatever you want. Okay, you can start with the box here at the height you want, and just extrude the polygons and move under and scale them along the way. Okay, so I have something like this. Maybe I put more segments like this. Maybe put a FFD 3x3 if I want. Move the control points to round the middle part a little bit more. Maybe lower the back more like this. Then convert to poly again, and then just extrude the polygons to get the shape you want. Okay, so I can go here in the back, maybe extrude this. Okay, but it extrudes in the direction of the polygon, so I'm just gonna move this. If you think that this is at an angle and you want to fix it, let's say I want to fix this angle. You have a function here that's called make planar. In Y or Z, see? It makes the polygons flat from X, Y, or Z axis. Okay?